November has come. How's everybody doing?
I think we're doing well.
Doing pretty good. I can hear you guys now.
You can hear us?
Doing great.
Daniel's online.
Online, live, ready to go.
All right. Daniel, what's going on tonight?
Pure officiating VSG 63, baby. I think.
You're excited?
I think.
I can hear the intensity in your voice. I can hear the intensity. Corey's in.
Why would you not be excited?
I'm excited. Corey's in Salt Lake City. He traveled for the show.
Yeah, I wanted to be back in the environment of Select Camp Salt Lake City. So I'm here
Whoa, there you go.
City Creek. So, I
Almost
really
like you
wanted
were-
to immerse myself in it.
Almost like you were setting up a camp announcement, but there isn't one, so I'm not sure what.
No, there isn't.
No,
that
there's no-
would have been way better. That would a lot more cool.
That would have been awesome.
Um,
Can't wait till camp season. Tuta, what's up?
let's finish this season first.
Not much, man. I'm just trying to learn, trying to grow, trying to get better every week. And it sounds like a cliche, but the number of mistakes that I seem to encounter on a weekly basis just reminds me that I do have to keep growing, keep getting better.
I was going to ask you, how's that going for you? But you just answered that question. So.
I'm getting better, Corey.
That's good.
If I didn't say I was a better referee today than I was week 0, I would be lying. So I'm much better today than I was week 0.
The question is, do you make more mistakes than everybody else, or do you identify more mistakes than everybody else?
Probably both. Probably both.
Okay. Well, that's a easy answer.
But hey,
Started. So we're gonna go with very complicated polls to start with. You guys ready for some complicated polls?
all right, here we go.
3-play loop, and you got a lot of opportunity. Is this thing working tonight? Okay, we're rolling. 3 plays, and we're going to talk about quarterbacks grounding the football out of bounds from the pocket. So, like the first play, you watch the quarterback kind of gets out of the pocket, comes back in. Forget about that. He actually, we're going to assume that he stays in the pocket the entire time. Like what happens in the next 2 plays. So this will all just continue to loop. We'll put up the poll. Watch the quarterback from the pocket throw the football out of bounds. That happens on all 3 of these plays. Tutai, you see what I'm saying? The quarterback's going to throw the football out of bounds. As the video, we still rolling or did
it stopped. It stopped.
All right, we got a little. We're rolling. We can get better. Let's just fire it back up. Same concept, same plays. So quarterback from the pocket basically throws the football out of bounds. And really the question, look at the poll. There's like a lot of options because there's 3 plays of combinations. And again, assume the quarterback stays in the tackle box and is under duress when he throws the football out of bounds. And now what we want to talk about in the category of intentional grounding is, what do we put these receivers in the area or not? So we've got 3 examples. You're going to, let the video loop, keep watching. You put the receiver in the area of this pass or not. Assume the quarterback in all 3 plays is in the pocket, never left, and is under duress when he throws it. And then just take the play for what it is. Receiver in the area or not, you got 3 plays, you got 3 options.
But Brandon, this really is a good concept to discuss because as a line of scrimmage or a deep official on the sideline, because I've had this conversation before. Oh, I didn't know that the quarterback was under duress. Well, that's as a line of scrimmage official or deep official, that's really not your element of the puzzle to worry about. You really need to only determine, was there a receiver in the area?
Exactly. So, don't worry about all that, And we talk about the receiver breaking his route off, and we can get into that. All those good things that we tend to talk about, but there's a lot of things happen. I'm not going to keep. I'm about to spoil everything, so I want everybody to just evaluate these, watch them. Quarterback's in the pocket and under duress when he throws the pass out of bounds. Okay, so we're trying to figure out, are these receivers in the area or not? All 3 plays, and I think I got every combination of possible evaluation answered here, right?
Yeah, I think you do.
2 to the 3rd power is 8. So I think
what was the purpose of that, Brandon?
Well, you've got 2 possible. You basically have a coin flip, receiver in or out of the area, and there's 3 plays. So two options to the third power means 8 combinations of answers.
I mean, that sounds good. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but that sounds like it's well thought out science. So I'll go with it.
Well, that's an incorrect mathematical application of how to determine the number of options. But we'll go with it.
Nope.
Isn't it more of a permutation?
No,
it's correct.
It was correct.
As
it was
a former
correct.
7th grade math teacher.
Wow.
You know what, Tuta, you were saying something earlier.
As an actual practicing
probability
mathematician,
exactly,
it's correct. Trust me.
Tuta, you were saying something earlier about
Brandon, you're not actual practicing anything other than a referee. Sorry, Corey.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I was just saying Brandon's not practicing anything other than refereeing, so I don't know what that actual practicing mathematician was.
Probably could use a lot more practice at that. Anyway, go ahead, Corey.
Well, I mean, Brandon's getting a lot more sunshine in his life right now, so
That's
you know
true.
that's probably helping.
See the sun setting over the sandhills right now. It's unbelievable. Corey, would you get on with your point?
Yeah, you know, Tuta was saying earlier about deep wings and line of scrimmage guys need to worry about players in the area. A crew member of mine came up a few weeks ago and just blatantly asked the referee, was your quarterback under duress? And the referee really didn't take kindly to that line of questioning, which kind of underlines Tuta's point that we don't need to concern ourselves with that. Just come and say if there's a guy in the area or not.
And I think really for all the officials, maybe not the umpire, but certainly the back judge and perimeters officials, continuing to just create consensus within your crews around this idea or around this concept's a good idea, because you never know, where the quarterback's going to launch the ball when he's under duress. So,
yeah, and here's the deal, Corey. I don't know if I would get upset if a crew member asked me that, because I will kind of understand where they're coming from, but I would prefer if really that they bring the information about under duress. I mean, about in a receiver in the area or not, because there are times, like in this Utah State play, there's nobody clearly in the area, but there's other mitigating factors. So how do you bring that information? Do you feel, because if the quarterback's not under duress, as a deep official, I may not even think about even bringing that information.
Right.
But Tuta, if you're a deep official and you don't bring it every time, don't you run the risk of maybe
absolutely
at some point?
Absolutely 100%. Yes, sir.
That's the process point, right? Good. What do you guys think? Should we roll with this these poll results, or
let's go. I think I want to get into a debate with Mr. Billiker and Mr. Cruz about using 2 to the third power, because I don't think that's necessarily the way we need to do that.
It definitely is. It definitely is. We'll stop. Yeah, we'll do that later, I guess. Oops, hang on. Here we go. All right, so let's break out a concept real quick. You guys, look at the poll results. I can't remember if I stopped the poll or not. You guys can do that or no?
Yeah, it's in.
Okay. Shoot. So here's the concept we want to talk about.
What happened?
I was hitting end as soon as you were hitting end, Corey, then it reset. So
do you guys have
a
feeling of the poll results?
I know who the win. I have the plurality. I know that. So
okay, it's all good. It's all good. So what we want to really talk about is these numbers. Is it important? What would you call it? A landmark?
Yes.
Let's call it a landmark. The numbers are a very important landmark. So when we have the quarterback grounding the football out of bounds, and usually when they do this, the reason we're not talking about the quarterback being out of the pocket, because usually when they ground the football out of bounds from out of the pocket, I mean, it's usually beyond the line of scrimmage. So all these receivers in the area talk is kind of a non-issue. Now, obviously, if the quarterback's out of the pocket, doesn't get the ball back to the line of scrimmage, that is an issue. But for this concept, let's just talk about a quarterback in the pocket throwing the football out of bounds, pretty much under pressure to avoid a sack. So we're gonna use the numbers as a strong landmark here, okay? And so basically what we're asking the offense to do to make this legal is, as like in this play, as this football, I'll try to get to where the ball eventually lands. I don't know if we can see it. The ball lands somewhere up here. Okay, so certainly Tuta, like the ball was thrown in this big arc, right? I know it kind of erases there, but the ball was thrown in this big arc over these players. But the issue here is that the players are inside the numbers. So when a receiver is inside the numbers, we want to really tighten down in terms of putting the receiver in the area of the pass. Now, when the receiver's outside the numbers, we loosen up. So if we had like this guy right here, if he was perhaps standing out here, then this would be totally a legal play. But with the receivers inside the numbers, we're going to ask the quarterback, you've got to get the ball more in the area of these players. And I think we use kind of a 5-yard radius, maybe elongated a little bit. Or we ask the quarterback, you can't throw it in an arc like this. You've got to throw it more directly towards these players. And even if it lands out in here, it's got to go just over their head. All right. So what would you add to that just from this kind of weird drawing and where we're going to go in terms of setting this up to explain the next two?
Nowhere. I like where you went with it. Yeah, no.
That's the general concept. And we're talking about general concept that we're trying to apply and communicate to be consistent and we know there's going to be multiple iterations of situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on this play, since the pass is thrown in this significant arc and there's nobody outside the numbers out here, then we are going to say there are no receivers in the area. This is the quarterback grounding the ball illegally without a receiver in the area. All right. So now go to this play. So this play, you're going to argue because, really, if you go over here, look at this. Where does the ball land? The ball lands just by the field judge here. My gosh, there is what? 5, 10,
25.
15, 20, 25 yards difference.
Yeah.
25 yards, between the ball and the receiver. And so if we just go back to the sideline view, this is different. This is different. We clearly do have a receiver outside the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to really expand what we consider in the area to the extent that we do not want this called. Now, we being how we've been trained. There might be other people that want this called, but just from our trainings and our learnings over the years, we are going to consider this receiver out, in the area of the pass for the purposes of this foul because it's a long arcing pass in the general direction of this receiver and the receiver's outside the numbers. Okay, any pushback there?
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Okay, why?
Long arcing pass or not, that is nowhere near where the receiver is. I would like to see the long arcing pass, if it was one, at least go over the receiver's head or somewhat in his vicinity. Okay. I don't like this at all as saying a receiver's in the area of this pass.
Well, we're throwing the ball in the general. This is how we've always worked this. But so if you guys want to create something new for us tonight, that's fine. But we're throwing the ball in this general direction, and you're talking about where the ball is landing. I get it. General direction with the receiver outside the numbers, we expand, and we consider that in terms of, going over him. Again, general direction, we really loosen up outside the numbers. So I think you have another way to describe it.
Yeah, I like that for a pass going out of bounds. I don't like that for a pass that's in the field of play that's like literally nowhere in the dude's area.
Okay. So you want this call? You want this as a receiver in the area?
I want this as no receiver in the area.
You want this as no receiver in the area. You're going to – okay, so now they come in. We do – and by the way, we want them to come in, them being the other officials.
Absolutely.
It could be the back judge. You just talk about it. Back judge, side judge, line of scrimmage official. And you want them coming in to report to you here there's no receiver in the area.
No, timeout. There's other factors and other concepts that we have to bring in, and there's comments that's coming in the chat, which is the next point I was getting to. And Corey, you can really talk better to this since y'all took my card away. But if the deep official has a feeling like, oh, wait a minute, this dude cut his route off and he should have been going further, then that's something else to put into it. But just simply from the actual mechanics of where the ball is and where the receiver is, I don't like this as a receiver there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're. I mean, I've generally thought we're not supposed to get involved with what the route was supposed to be, what it is. I mean, we're just supposed to say deal in facts, and the fact
Right.
is the ball landed nowhere near a receiver. I don't know what type of route he was supposed to run. If there's a miscommunication, or I've always been told we're not supposed to get involved with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's how we want to work it, and we would have a really healthy discussion next week on our crew. I don't want this called personally, and again, this is just me talking, and I'll just explain it one more time. This is a high arcing pass. This is a high arcing pass that lands kind of in this area. Okay, I don't care what the receiver does right here. He's outside the numbers, so just stay consistent. If this is thrown in his general direction, high arcing, and lands outside, and he's outside the numbers, we can be way more consistent ruling him in the area of the pass.
So put the
All
ball
right,
on
Brent.
the 15. You want it? You still say he's in the area if the ball's on the 15?
Yeah. We can do all the what ifs all day long. The way this is presented to me, you're trying to put the ball down here somewhere, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how realistic that is. Whatever. I mean, you could go to the outlier to make a point, which isn't
No, that's not an outlier. He just threw a deep pass.
Yeah, exactly. In the general direction of the receiver who's outside the numbers. So I don't want it called. Now, if the ball lands inside here somewhere, yes, I do want it called. Absolutely. But the ball lands outside in this area, out here somewhere. And I'm just being more general because we can be consistent this way. Otherwise, like to your point, what if the ball lands here? What if the ball lands here? What if the ball lands here, here, or here? That's just not where I want to get into. So we can apply general rules to help guide us and become consistent. But I like the
Yeah, my what if was going to be if that receiver runs like a 2-yard stop, and the guy just pitches it down. I mean,
yeah.
I don't consider. I mean, you're giving us a very broad definition of general direction.
Exactly.
I mean, just towards
because he runs what 10, 12, 15 yards downfield. Look at that. I mean, he is downfield. He's out of the screen right now, right? And so we snapped here, and he has ran all the way down here. Quarterback throws a long arcing pass. We can. I don't think many of us actually take a snapshot of where he is versus where he lands. If we want to start applying that standard to this, I don't think we're going to be very consistent. The ball's in the air now. The ball is out over the side, and he's broken this route off. And I don't care if you judge that or not. He's outside the numbers. The ball is generally in that direction. Put him in the area. That's where I'm at.
I see where you're going with it from the consistency's sake, and I think I can, at least that softens the blow of something like this. But, I mean, if I'm the deep wing on here, I'm coming in saying there's a guy not in the area.
And we're just going to have to live with that because that's your judgment, right?
Right.
So if we were on the same crew and we had this the next week, I would ask, why are you doing that? Because we've hopefully set these standards out, and we've probably argued about it, which is healthy, like we are now, right?
Right.
This is where I'm at on it in terms of what we've been trained and the examples I've seen over the course of the several years.
No, I mean I'm with you with the outside the numbers thing. I've just never seen it so loose, applied with such latitude in terms of depth down the field.
Yeah, I mean, the guy runs a 15 to 18-yard route, and the ball lands, I get it, 25 yards, but they're all outside the numbers, so I think we're good. This one's pretty easy. If
Right.
you just consider 17, it never was outside, so he threw it from here. He was never out here. Forget about that. But same concept. I mean, same concept applied. This guy's outside the numbers, and this ball is high arcing, basically in that general direction, so put him in the area, okay? Just put him in the area. And that's really easy. So then we go back to the first play we looked at, which was actually play 3 on the loop. And then I'll just shut up and let you guys, rip me. So this is different. Look, he's being flushed. He just grounds the ball. There's nobody out here. There's nobody out here. Offense, you have to get somebody out here if it's going to be thrown in this high arc to consider the player in the area. So if we apply those standards, we can be really, really consistent with this. And then I'll let you guys go from there and react to whatever's going on in the chat.
The chat is just really asking about wrong routes, incorrect routes.
I wouldn't even worry about that, honestly.
Yeah.
I'll loop the plays again if you want to keep talking.
Still in the area. I'm reading through all the different comments in the chat, but that's really what it's all about. Yeah, I'm with Corey. I think that's a very loose interpretation of the receiver outside the numbers concept for me.
If he never, so I said I was going to shut up. Of course, I won't shut up. But if he never runs downfield, I could understand what you're saying. But this guy runs 15 to 18 yards downfield. It'll come up next on the loop, and then the quarterback, loops the ball downfield. Outside the numbers, just put him in the air. It's very simple. See that? I mean, he is about, I don't know if he's 18. He's almost 15 yards downfield.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Can't say I agree, but I hear you.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the quarterback throws the ball inside the field, nope, you don't get that. Get it high, arcing over a player in general direction, over the player outside the numbers, and we can loosen up the standards. There's the pass lands in the field of play, or there's no receiver outside the numbers. We're not going to loosen up the standards. We're basically going to use, I don't know what the radius is for best practices. Some say 5 yards, healthy 5. It could be 7. It could be 10. I mean, it just depends on the type of play it is. Generally, the radius will expand when the pass is on a line toward that receiver or over his head on a straight line, right? Not a high arcing like in play 2. So the radius will expand, because if it goes right over his head, but it lands 10, 12, 15 yards away because he just buzzes it over his head or whatever to avoid a sack, that's fine. He's in the area to pass. So we use some discretion on that. It's an interesting concept, and one that has been debated a lot, no different than how we are right now.
Right.
And with receivers breaking off routes, and I just wouldn't even get into that. If the receiver breaks the route off inside the numbers and the quarterback throws it deep, then they're at higher risk to be considered of grounding the ball in an area with no eligible receiver. If the receiver breaks the route off outside and the ball is grounded, thrown out of bounds like play 2 shows, then they're at less of a risk to be considered that receiver is in the area or not. So, I think, again, these are standards that we can apply to be consistent over the course of a lot of plays, because no plays don't really repeat themselves. And we see a lot of similar looking plays, but there's always, first of all, there's always different officials. And I mean, there's always different players. It's a different time in the game. How was your day? How was your week? How was your travel in? There's so many factors that contribute to plays. It's interesting. That's why standards are so important, that we can communicate and kind of talk in consistent ways.
So Brenton is asking, how can the umpire help on this? And I was in a game where the umpire actually brought information about a receiver in the area. We'd initially ruled no receiver in the area, but he noticed, and it was a similar concept to the Oklahoma play, where there was a receiver outside the number, and the pass did go over that receiver's head. It was far out of bounds, but the receiver was outside the numbers, and the pass went right over his head. So the umpire actually, when he turned to work the pass area, he noticed that. So if the umpire, but I would prefer if the umpires, if they have no other threats in the middle, which 9 times out of 10, when the pass is gone, the threat is pretty much gone, especially when you're working crew of 8, you got the referee and the center judge working that. That's why the umpire can turn and work passes. Then the umpire can turn. If he sees information, bring it. Always bring information if you have it.
Yeah, totally. All right, what else? So interesting concept. Discuss this with your crews, because I think everybody will have one of these plays, within the last month or so of games. You're going to have, and like you said, sometimes we don't even realize we have these plays because we fail to communicate.
Right.
We fail to communicate, and like last week, and I was really pleased, and I told the line of scrimmage guy I appreciated it. I mean, the quarterback was basically at the sideline and dumped the ball clearly out of bounds beyond the line of scrimmage. And the line of scrimmage guy came in and said, I know what's going on, but I'm just telling you, there's nobody in the area. And we just kind of had a good laugh about it. But that's habit forming, like Daniel said. You got anything, Daniel, to close this one out?
No, I think it's really good conversation. And again, I think it's just something really you want to work within your crews. I would just think as a referee, like continuing to just kind of refine this within your crews. Because like you said, that, we may be in different places, but as a crew, we don't want a head line judge being in a different place from the line judge. Right. So I think, kind of following your referee's lead there. because ultimately he's the one dropping the flag and is going to be accountable for that. So.
Yeah, right. It's all about the process of getting to it, but I hear what you're saying. Awesome. All right, thanks for the discussion. Use a general concept if you want, or don't. It's up to you. Onside kick. Ready?
Oh, hold on, Brandon.
No,
Hold
you
on.
got it. You got it.
Sorry, we got something about talking about the level of duress on the quarterback and everything like that.
Yeah.
So what? And that's we weren't really discussing that element of intentional grounding. We were really just talking about is a receiver in the area, and that's really what the deep officials and the line of scrimmage officials are going to be bringing to the referee. The referee then has to put the other elements together to determine if we're going to drop a flag for intentional grounding. Is the quarterback still in the pocket? Was the quarterback hit when he was attempting to throw the pass? Was he hit after he started throwing his throwing motion? Did he start his throwing motion after he was hit? All that kind of stuff is what the referee has to work together with the center judge or umpire in the backfield to make that determination on dropping the flag. But really, this exercise was just talking about receiver in the area or not.
Right. Don't you think there's two decision points there? Quarterback under duress or not is one. Okay.
Yep.
Then was the quarterback able to throw the ball basically before any contact by the defense affected his throwing motion? Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, obviously, if contact affects his throw, he's under duress. And then if he starts his throwing motion clearly after contact, I mean, duress is no question. Then he's literally we're basically interpreting that action as him dumping the pass to avoid it. He's got to get the ball. I mean, forget about this concept then. All this stuff is out.
That's correct.
If he starts throwing the ball after contact, then he has got to get the ball in the area of an eligible receiver to a very strict standard. You know, and so I hope that's not confusing, but it's just the fact that, look, these plays, we have the quarterback basically throwing the ball free. We are considering him under pressure. There is that, okay, and we're talking about, you know, the pass is not being affected by the pressure, other than maybe the timing of him throwing that pass. So he's just throwing the pass. He's under pressure. How do we interpret the receivers in the area, like you said? Yeah. What a challenging concept for every crew. Every crew is going to have something like that this year. So if you haven't had it yet, it's coming your way. This is a great play. So we'll go like totally way different than passing the football. And we're going to kick the ball now. And I think this was a very high scoring game. Look at it. It's 56-49. I don't know if we're anticipating onside kick, but obviously nobody's stopping anybody. So I guess whoever, you know, like Army in this case is thinking, well, we might as well try an onside kick. We haven't done anything else today. And we have this interesting action right near the sideline, you know, where who touches it first? Where did they touch it? Now the loose ball is out of bounds. What's that? I mean, do you have illegal touching? What about a fair catch signal? But look at that fair catch signal by that widest player in the white jersey on the receiving team. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? Who's looking at that? How do we work that? How do we interpret that? You know, man, both players have hands on the football. Now we've got a foot out of bounds. Oh my gosh. I guess I got to defer to somebody who's actually worked. Because Tutai, you and me, we're back at the goal line.
Yeah.
Right? We're back at the goal line. So what do you guys see here? Where do you start with this? I mean, look at the side judge has got his head and eyes staring at the feet. I think we're okay with that. But I mean, like, what? There's a lot going on here. How do we do this?
Well, this is one of the times where, for me, if I got my head screwed on straight, we're responsible for touching, right, on an onside kick like this at the restraining line. So normally on a play near the sideline, and I'm talking about like a catch, we would go feet, then ball. Would be staring at the ground. But here we need to see the touch first, and that's it's so against what we normally do. And I can't say that I wouldn't be doing the same thing here if I were this deep wing. But, you know, we do need to see that touch. But, you know, there's a lot of other things, like you said, that go into this. And that's kind of why I do my crazy self-talk before every kickoff, just to be prepared for things like this because, man, it's these are the plays that you never get any practice for, especially in any type of preseason or spring camp. You never get to practice these. So when you get them, they can be surprising. They're all unique, and you have to do a lot of video work to have any type of hope of getting this right. So I know it's kind of a long-winded answer, but
Corey, are you going to see the signal? Do you think you would see the signal?
I don't know.
And does the signal even matter? Let me ask that question too.
Well, I mean, the signal doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, this was kicked straight into the ground, so he gets all the same protections as if it were kicked straight in the air. So, in terms of, I mean, yes, he gets different. He's afforded longer time to complete the catch if we need that. But in terms of, the actual physical protection, it's the same. I guess this wasn't kicked in the ground, was it, Pooch?
So, but I guess what I'm asking is the timing of the signal. Was he signaling to catch the ball? Was he signaling to try to stop the kicking team from touching it? Does that even matter? Is that something that needs to go through our head, or do we need to just, pretty much say if he signaled, he has an opportunity, he should be given an unimpeded opportunity to catch?
Yeah, I mean, to your first question, we've got to see the signal. And is it us? I don't know. I mean, that's awfully tight to where we're at. I mean, maybe we don't see that whole thing. Yeah. Maybe if we had 6 in the box, it'd be a different story. I think we'd have more eyes there. But this is just a surprise type onside, so we only have 4 up there. Now, is the umpire or the back judge, whichever side of the field, are they going to be heads up on that? Could this come from the line of scrimmage guys way down at the pylon seeing that signal? I mean, I think if we have anybody that sees the signal, it's going to be someone with more of a wide vision than the deep wing that's covering the restraining line right there. I mean, it could be the opposite deep wing.
Yeah.
I have a hard time thinking that we're going to see that as the covering deep wing on this play. I don't know. You used to work position, so I'll give you a probationary card for the next 5 minutes.
No, I agree, man. I don't know if I would see this because I'll be so focused on the ball and the kicking team player coming, and I know that ball is really close to the sideline. I know this dude out the peripheral. You can tell the kicking team dude is coming. So, and that's probably why S is down at the feet because he's like, let me see if this kicking team dude actually gets his feet in and completes this catch before he goes out of bounds, and probably never saw the signal, which I'm not sure I would see either. I love what you said, somebody else be able to help with that. Umpire, back judge, if you're working crew of 8, center judge, because there's probably not a lot else to work on a play like this because there's only really one. There's no collisions going on. Look, you can look at the field. There's literally no collisions going on over the whole field. So nobody really has to worry about blocks. Almost everybody can go zoom in on that area, even though that sounds crazy and terrible, but almost everybody can work that area.
I like what you say about the center judge being a good person to get this. I think anybody has a shout at except for this poor side judge.
Right.
But back to your original point, I mean, whether he signals or not, that doesn't take us off as this deep wing from making a call when it comes to KCI or fair catch interference. I mean,
Totally.
That's kind of inconsequential, really.
Well, let's just say this: it's entirely inconsequential to this play.
Yes.
Yeah.
When would it be consequential, or would it ever be?
Only it would be consequential if B8 caught the ball and tried to return it.
Yeah. I guess if the ball bounces twice, that fair catch signal means nothing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it means the way this play evolves, it means nothing as well.
Right, because he has the opportunity
Sure.
either way without the signal.
Right.
No different than a punt, basically.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, keep going.
No, I was probably going the same place you're going, Brandon.
Yeah.
All right, fine. We did all of that. We got a flag on the ground, balls out of bounds. We got to do something, right?
Right.
What the hell are we supposed to do now?
Yeah. I've heard you ask that question before, even when you were the one that threw the flag. So ruling on the field was that the ball went out of bounds untouched by the receiving team in the field of play.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, and we understand. I mean, I totally understand that could happen. And if we can get that on the field, fine. Now, what's reviewable? Is that reviewable? Is that even something that, look, we're going to basically say, so if the ruling on the field is that the kick is out of bounds untouched by the receiving team, what's the penalty, first of all?
It's KOB. We go 5 from the spot, the inbound spot. We go 5 from the previous spot.
Or they can take the ball 35.
Take the ball to the 35-yard line.
They wouldn't have the receiving team would never ask the kicking team to march back 5 and re-kick. In this case, they would just enforce 5. So, replay booth wise, do you expect that to be corrected? A 5-yard penalty that is really not a foul.
No.
But do we really need to go to replay on that?
No.
I don't think we do, without any other inputs. Okay, but what if the coach wants to challenge? I want to challenge that in other words, why would the kicking team? Yeah, the kicking team coach right here, right, would be the one that says, take those 5 yards and put them somewhere else.
That's right.
So if he wants to challenge, are you going to basically allow him to challenge, or would you instruct or expect your replay crew to stop the game and then we're not going to do this through a challenge, or we are going to do this through a challenge? Because that was really convoluted. You just said you don't expect them to stop the game without any other input. But now what I'm saying is kicking team coach says, wait a second, you're enforcing 5 yards, but I saw that the receiving team touched it.
Right.
So I'm going to challenge.
Right.
Would we want the replay crew to let him challenge or stop the game?
So that's a complicated question, and it goes into mechanics of challenges. And we have discussed this before, but let's just discuss it again. We are not going to have a challenge when the referee is not having a direct face-to-face conversation with the coach. So what I would hope on a play like this is if the coach wants to challenge, the sideline official talks to the coach, first of all, about what his options are and can he even challenge that. And you started this a long time ago, Brandon. What is the reviewable elements? Well, touching of a kick is reviewable. Yeah. So that is a reviewable element. So if the coach wants to challenge that the receiving team touched the ball, then he can challenge that. So then what I would hope is that the covering official will call the referee over. The referee would have the conversation, hopefully with an open microphone if we work with communication systems. Mm-hmm. And I would hope that the replay communicator will hear the conversation, and then we will get a page and stop the game and let the replay official review this play without having the coach challenge.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And it sounds like we're gaming the system a little bit, but that's again, operate on standards. So the replay official can choose, if you're interested in the replay world, they can choose to not stop the game based on competitive impact, which we would understand, 5 yards. They can choose not to stop the game for things like, the game's out of hand, which isn't the case here, obviously, but like time and score. But if it's obviously reviewable and it's a clear error, then they are going to stop the game.
Yes.
And we don't want to handle that through this. There's no ego here. Like, oh, he can challenge it if he wants to. I'm not stopping the game. We don't do that. Nobody does that. We don't expect anybody to operate that way.
Okay, Brandon, well, let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
You said we're going to stop the game and we're going to start reviewing. All elements of a play are reviewable. We also know that a fair catch signal is reviewable in certain situations. Yeah. We see a fair catch signal. Can we create KCI?
Yeah, great question. Nope, we can't do that. The only thing, the fair catch signal is reviewable pertaining to the player then advancing the football.
Correct.
So that's a great point. We wouldn't want to confuse. Oh, fair catch signal was in blue in the rule book, right? Isn't that true? Maybe this year, perhaps last year, maybe both. I don't know. It kind of have always worked it that way, I guess, whatever. And now it's in the rules. Well, yeah, we don't want to just open Pandora's box and say, well, everything associated with the fair catch is reviewable, because this is a judgment call on the field. This is really Corey's judgment call, or whoever's helping him out on this onside kick relative to, was was his, unimpeded opportunity to catch the ball, I guess violated, which we can see it is, but we also understand why perhaps it could be missed, but it's not reviewable. Right?
Correct.
Good. All right. Anything else on this play? These are crazy. Crew of 7. Who sees whether the ball is, pooched like this or one bounce? Who's mechanically responsible for that? Daniel, is that the back judge in Crew of 7, or is that somebody else? Or maybe it's the side judge.
I don't think it's a back judge.
You never did. So in other words, you never did that?
Right. If it is, that may have been missed a time or two. I think it's the deep wings, isn't it?
It is.
Deep wings, and you do that now with Crew of 8. I assume you still do that.
Correct. I know the center judge has some with that, but deep wings.
It's not like the super intense consideration it used to be anymore, right? I mean, it's pretty easy. Because if it just goes directly into the ground, it's the same thing as if it doesn't. So you don't have to spend a lot of energy trying to decide between the two. And if it bounces twice, well, everybody hopefully will be able to make that determination.
Right. Good point. Thank you for that. All right. Anything else going on? Interesting play. I just think that, when we get surprised like that, and not that the side judge, I don't know. I mean, the side judge had to work something, so he chose to work the feet. When we get surprised is when we're most likely to miss something, and not saying anybody miss anything.
Yeah, let's just circle back one more time, because this is something we encounter confusion on a consistent basis. You don't have to put the film up, but you can. And I don't know what we called on the field, but we just need to be really clear that the receivers always have an unimpeded opportunity to complete the catch, always, to make the catch, let's say to catch the kick, right? And so whether or not that fair catch, just in case we weren't clear earlier, whether or not the fair catch signal is given, the receiver has the right to get the ball. So if the kicking team goes up and catches the ball or hits the ball or collisions the receiver prior to him having the unimpeded opportunity to catch the kick, it's going to be KCI every single time. It goes that applies if the ball is kicked directly off the tee into the air, or if we have the immediate kick into the ground and it bounces up into the air. So just want to make sure we didn't leave anybody stranded on the fair catch conversation. I think we were really just talking about visual mechanics in general, but receiving team always has an unimpeded opportunity, whether there's a signal or not.
Nice.
Hey, Brandon, we need to circle back too, because Sergio was actually making a comment about coach's challenge, winning the challenge, losing the challenge, and reviewable aspects. So let's make sure that we're clear on that. The reason the replay official, we don't believe the replay official would stop the game in this case, is because the replay review would only result in a 5-yard difference, which is not considered impactful or significant. Yes, that's the word. I'm sorry, I was losing my words. Significant at midfield at this point in the game. Only 5 yards is not worth stopping the game. However, if the coach challenged the fact that the ball was touched, he would win the challenge because the ball was clearly touched by the receiving team. And that's why we think it will be in the best interest of the replay team to stop the game if the coach chooses to challenge the fact that the ball was touched, because he would win that challenge.
Yep. Yeah. We're not going to force him to challenge, when it's either, this case it's clearly, I'm using the word wrong. I don't mean to use the word wrong, but it is.
Yeah.
The
it's
ruling
clear
on the field was
visual evidence that the receiving team touched the ball, even though we ruled that they did not.
Right. This is an understandable issue with our judgment. Totally. I mean, gosh, this is a tough play, but if there's any smoke about the coach wanting to challenge this, then we just need to correct this through a formal replay stoppage.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. See, that's good. And it's as hard as it is to talk through it here. I mean, it's kind of hard to navigate through it on the field, honestly. especially when you don't know everything that happened. And that's why when we talk about communicating the ruling on the field, we are not just saying that because it's a cliche and you read that in your first officiating book. No, it's super important. It's super important so that we're all understanding, what pathway we're going down with these plays, because they're difficult.
Right.
All right, good. We're generating a little discussion tonight. It's a little like we're getting passionate. Love this. Yeah. All right. So
I'm fired up.
I can tell. How are the Astros doing? Never mind. More people are watching this than the World Series. I'm telling you.
Oh man, our ratings tonight for BSC are going to destroy Game 6.
All right, so a little double action near the goal line. That's not the point of the play, but we're just going to watch how this kind of develops. And so the ruling on the field is a touchdown. Tight play, Utah. Tight play.
Yeah.
Let's study double action, right? We all want to study this. Man, almost every position can be involved in studying this, whether you're talking about, obviously it's going to happen for our deeps. It's going to happen in reverse mechanics for the line of scrimmage. It's going to happen for the line of scrimmage in normal mechanics when you have the goal line responsibility. Center judge, referee, whatever. Now, okay, we go to replay. And, we are going to overturn to short. And we know we have an emphasis on efficiency in the game. This is this is really efficient, right? We have, out of replay, we blew the ready for play about 12 seconds after our announcement. And we just want to be cognizant of what effect that could have on the game as TV. Look, we're at 10 seconds on the play clock. I don't know if my audio is synced up to the video. The team is rushing to the line. And it's short. They're going to run a quarterback sneak. I think we're okay here. Forward progress is ruled. The defense comes away with the football. Good job on forward progress. I think we could stand to do that in a couple other examples this year that we've maybe discussed in other forums. But now we're going to look at this. We're going to have an injured player, and we're also going to talk about the team calling timeout. So here's where I want to go with this. We're going to see that we're walking the player off the field a little bit. The coach is a little bit confused. We have an injury timeout plus a team timeout. And I want to get your guys' opinion, and obviously those in the chat, and hopefully those that watch on replay, type it up in that little comment section, which is always great. How do we want to handle this? Because this is really, really something that hardly ever happens, So it'll loop back. We're going to have the double action. We're going to get out of replay. Okay, talk about your replay efficiency. But then I really want to get your opinion on, if you have an injured player and the team is maybe calling timeout at the same time, does one trump the other? Does the injury trump the team timeout? Does the team timeout trump the injury? Do we just actually administer both? I'm really curious to your thoughts on that. Anybody? Maybe Corey, you want to take that?
Say it again, will you? I was kind of.
No, I know. I'm all over the place. Look. We're down inside, getting near 2 minutes and a half, and you've got an injured player. It's not like it's a 10-second runoff issue. That's not where we're at. Right. We're not under one. But at the same time, there's smoke around a coach potentially calling timeout, or maybe a player calling timeout, because they want to save time, whatever the case is. Like in this case, Tulsa's down by 10. So obviously they want to score quick, and they want to, turn the ball back and then get the ball back and try to tie the game. Okay, whatever. If we have an injury and a team timeout that is somewhat conflicting, does one trump the other? Do we administer both? Do we ask the team what they would rather have? Like, how do we work through that?
So you're saying there's an injury on the defense?
Injury on the offense. And the offense is actually going to, be charged a timeout. Or I don't know if they ended up, but there's smoke around the offense also calling timeout with an offensive injury. See the player laying on the goal line there? He is going to be injured and asked to sit out a play for his injury. At the same time, the same team there's smoke around them wanting a timeout. How in the heck do we navigate through that? Because that's complicated.
Man, that is very complicated. Obviously timeouts are gold to coaches, especially at this time of the game. Do we tell him, hey, we've stopped the clock for the injury. We're going to run this. The clock will run once it's ready again. Do you still want the timeout? Maybe that's the communication that can go on. I don't know. I think we could try to lead them down the path of not calling the timeout, but I don't know if that's overstepping our bounds.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Tuta?
I like what Corey said. I love where Corey's going, but I'm confused. Was the coach was he saying that he tried to call timeout before the ball was snapped on that next play?
I don't know. I think that's a good question. Because think about it. We were a little bit not like, we were really efficient. Let's just keep saying it that way. We were really efficient out of the replay reversal.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to you on your process out of that here in a second, but I'm trying to understand this timeout scenario. That's right. I mean, maybe he was saying, look, I wanted a timeout before the snap.
Right.
I don't know.
I think to answer your question, though, I love what Corey was saying. If I think we would see the player injured prior to even recognizing or acknowledging the timeout. That's what I think I would do on the field. Acknowledge the injured player before acknowledging the timeout.
Okay, Daniel.
I think a simple communication would be, Coach, the clock stopped for this injury. Do you want a further timeout after that?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe instead of telling him what to do, just give him the information. Say, Coach, we already have a dead clock. Do you need it stopped further? Or do you want a timeout after that? The injury timeout is over. Yeah. I don't.
And also reminding, we know that a timeout does not buy your player back in the game if we've stopped the game due to injury. The only other thing, what do you think about this? Should we not, if we have all this kind of happening at the same time, which happens a lot, different aspects of the game kind of happen at once, and we, are we going to penalize delay of game? Are we going to award a timeout? All those kinds of things. It's kind of like that, but different. What about ignoring the injury, so to speak? Not ignoring the injury like the player's health and well-being. Obviously, we're here for player safety, but should we charge the timeout and not say that it was an injury timeout? Is that even a consideration? Or do you like it, like what you guys are saying, basically doing the injury timeout and really not going with the
So are you saying we should not make it an injury timeout for the purposes of letting the player stay in the game? Is that where you're going with that? Or what will be the purpose of change of having a team timeout versus an injury timeout?
I don't have a purpose. I don't have a great answer. That's a really good question to my really horrible answer. I'm just kind of working through this in my mind. It's because I feel like the field judge came in pretty strong saying they're calling timeout.
Right.
And to your point, now, were they trying to get it before the snap? I don't know. I'm not really sure. We can think about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's just, what is really confounding to me on these kinds of things? We never talk about this stuff.
Right.
Until they happen. Do you ever go to your summer clinic talking about whether you should charge a timeout or an injury timeout or both? I mean, we never talk about this stuff, and then they happen, and it's kind of like, well, we're just flying by the seat of our pants.
Right. We had this discussion probably 10 VSGs ago, Brandon.
Yeah.
Where we talked about how do we administer. We had a replay stoppage versus an injury versus how are we going to deal with the clock. I really just like to deal with the live action before dealing with anything administrative after the play is over. That's what I like to do. And I think in the live action, we see a player hurt. Okay, the coach called timeout, but we're going to deal with this injury first. And then, like, I love what Corey said, ask the coach, does he still want a timeout, even though we have the clock stopped for the injury?
I think that's the best way forward. Now, you might want to be prepared if the other coach says, wait a second, I saw them signaling timeout.
Yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah, we stopped the game because the player was injured. That's an easy one for me.
Yep. Yeah, it's an easy one to get out.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
But
now this is
pull the thread. Easy. I mean, pull the thread.
Right, but Brandon, guess what? This is real easy when we're not under one. When we start getting under one,
oh
boy. Not things start changing, right?
Everything changes.
That's right.
Because now now you're basically going to do the same thing Corey's saying, but it has different consequences.
That's correct.
If they say, I didn't want that timeout. Okay, but you're going to have a 10-second runoff.
That's right.
So you might have to burn that timeout to avoid 10-second runoff. Yes. Right. Everything changes under one.
Yeah.
And I don't think we haven't. Oh, well, I mean, that honestly makes it easier because the injury creates something completely different. Because let me say it, you you cannot say this. No. I called timeout before the player was injured. Therefore, there's no, you can't have the 10-second. Like, that doesn't even, no. You know what I mean? No, that doesn't matter. The injury exists. So to your point, let's just stay consistent here. Assess the injury and then do what Corey's saying and ask him, do you still want the timeout? Because the clock is stopped for the injury. We are going to start it on the ready for play. You can have the timeout.
That's right.
Guys still got to sit out.
That's right.
And just be very clear.
That's right.
Really, really complex. So I don't know. Maybe it's only complex to me. You guys seem to be handling it very smoothly, which I really admire. Let's go back. What about your replay process? So, I know what's happening right here. Well, at least I think I know. We have been beaten and beaten and beaten. Very, very politically correct. Figuratively beaten.
Yeah.
About
figuratively and metaphorically.
Yes, about replay efficiency.
Yeah, and I hate
because the replay stops apparently by some metric are taking too long. All right. So now what the measurement is basically when the referee makes the announcement that the previous play is under review to when the ball is next marked ready for play. That is our measure of how long the stoppage takes. That was new this year. It used to just be announcement to announcement. Now it's announcement to ready for play. Okay. So you can understand perhaps why, some would think, look, get the ball marked ready for play as soon as possible. We've got time. They're monitoring this time. But I don't know if we don't want to go that far. What do you do when you have a replay reversal and getting back into the game?
I can tell you because we had one on Saturday. First of all, I make sure everything is correct. I want to go as slow as possible to ensure that we're going to put the ball in a correct position on the field laterally and longitudinally. I want to make sure that the clock is correct. I want to make sure we have the correct down. And then I want to make sure we're good. Once I know we're good, we're going to put the ball in the correct place. And hopefully by the time I run the 80 yards, I run a 40 in about.
No, stop.
Stop right there.
7.5.
Okay.
So when I run my 80 yards back, by the time I get there, I would love if two teams are in position over the ball, ready to snap. If they're not, I'm going to make sure we get everybody over there. And I'm probably going to be a little bit more deliberate with blowing the ready for play. I honestly, literally don't care what the metric is on
I know.
blowing the ready for play after review.
I'm
sorry if Steve Shaw is listening, but I don't care.
Your company line. I agree. I think you're being a little selfish. No, you need to be confident that everything is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: when out of replay, I'm a little replay heavy, but that's okay because it's really part of the game, and everybody will be working with it at some point. If you're not already, Tuta, if something is incorrect after a replay reversal, they're not going to ask the umpire or the center judge.
That's right.
What happened with the ball placement or the field position or the chains? They're not going to go to the headline judge.
Nope.
They're not going to ask the side judge what happened with the clock.
Nope.
They're going to go to you as the referee. And so if you're on a crew and the referee takes a little bit longer than you would like out of a replay reversal, just have a little empathy for the fact that let's just be really confident. And look, I think you have trust that everybody's going to execute the way within your processes, but that doesn't mean you're not going to inspect that, right?
Right. And there are times when we may have to, let's say we have to reset the chains. Well, that can get complicated sometimes if the chains are moved. Sometimes people have two different clips on there. Where was the first clip? Where was the second clip? It can get complicated, and we have communication from upstairs. And sometimes we may need to have a little bit of extra delay to ensure that the chain's on the proper place. The yard line is correct. I want to make sure everything is correct before I blow that ready for play.
Yeah. So here it just put the clock up. It just seemed like, gosh, the play clock was at 25 seconds after the announcement. I don't think I would have even started it yet, but that's my own, what would you say? What's the word for when you're kind of like scared or worried? I don't know what that word is. I'm trying to think of the word. I can't come up with it. But anyway.
Paranoia?
Paranoid.
Yeah.
It's my own paranoia.
Yeah.
Good.
But and let's be perfectly honest. This is we have no idea, and Daniel talks about our what is our doggone the words that we use.
I don't know.
Why are we all losing our words?
Yeah,
disclaimer. Jeez, we're losing words today.
Yeah,
we have our own disclaimer. If your conference tells you to blow the ready for play as quick as possible after review, then blow the ready for play as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Our conference has not told us that, and I just don't believe that that's the appropriate way to come out of replay. I want everybody to be comfortable about the next play. One thing we didn't talk about, Brandon, if we have a touchdown on the field, well, Team A probably has their extra point team on the field. And now we're coming back, and now we're going first and goal. Well, now they have to bring the offense back out and call a play. So that takes a little bit of time. So let's be
that one shot.
Consider that.
The TV had ISO'd on the guy that scored, and he was just kind of sitting around. Now all of a sudden he had to like scurry and get his helmet. He didn't even make it back to the field. Now I think they had a short yardage package in, so it was okay. But
right.
What you're saying rings true. Cool.
Right.
All right. Let's go visual mechanics. Enough of this stuff, right? Wait. Let me make sure I got the right video because there's two videos. Visual mechanics. Okay, here we go. We got polls. We're going visual mechanics. So play will loop, but it's going to freeze. You know how we do this. This is a blast. We're going to start with the deep wing at the top. All right, unbalanced formation. Really interesting. Unbalanced formation, deep wing at the top. Where are you looking? Where are you looking when the video freezes? You got the sideline wide. You got the end zone. Coach's tape view. I'm not sure if the coach's tape end zone helps or not. I think the sideline does. Deep wing at the top to start with. So where should the deep wing at the top be looking when the video pauses? Are you noticing? I think we are. All these unbalanced formations.
Yeah.
Hey,
Brandon, can I vote on it? Are we able to vote on this?
I don't.
That was a trick question. No, we can't. That was a trick question. Sorry. Don't embarrass yourself.
Good one, Tita.
Yeah, that was really fascinating what you did there. Intriguing. Where's the deep wing looking? And at the top. So don't pick number one. I don't think you can pick number one because I didn't put it in there. So deep wing at the top. Okay, very interesting. Good. Deep wing at the top. The results are coming in hot.
They are.
Okay, this is good. Maybe I'm glad I'm not a deep wing.
You have no shot of ever being a deep wing.
Really?
As an ex-deep wing,
I know my athleticism would qualify.
Oh my gosh. I saw you work back judge this year. It was a disaster.
5 plays. Rewrote the back judge history book in the Big 12.
For sure.
Yeah, I did.
Sure.
They'll be talking about it for years.
So this unbalanced would have covered up wide receiver. So we got all kind of crap going on.
Yeah. Right. Good point. Traditionally, when we say unbalanced, it was like they moved the tackle over. Yeah. Nope. You got your normal, tackle, guard, center setup, and then you cover up. It's been called you kill a wide receiver in terms of their eligibility. Yeah, that's what they're doing here. And you would think normally it'd be a run. You would think it'd be a run, wouldn't you? But sometimes it's not.
Right.
All right, I think we're good. So
there we are.
Let's go. I can let basically the play go. You see the poll results?
Hold on, let me take a picture.
Okay. You want to do that, or you want to discuss it?
Oh, okay.
No, let's do what you're saying. I think that's a really good idea because we don't want to poison the rest of the polls. Let's go to another position. Let's go to the line of scrimmage. So you got the deep wing. Let's go to the line of scrimmage. This is, as you know, this is one of our favorite things to do.
That's right.
In terms of creating discussion within our crew. So line of scrimmage at the top, line of scrimmage official at the top. So we're really working the unbalanced side of the field, aren't we? With the light side, not the heavy side. Where should the line of scrimmage at the top be looking when that video pauses? Same play. I mean, this is not. And then the result of this play is interesting to get your thoughts on too. The next will be the back judge. And Daniel, I hope you're prepared to talk crew of 7 umpire in the backfield, because this presents a very interesting set of circumstances there in those mechanics.
I wasn't, but I'll work on getting prepared now.
Since you have exactly 0 snaps in those mechanics, I'm not sure what you're going to do, but that might not be true. You actually did work umpire in the backfield in that spring league thing.
That's right. I did. I forgot all about that.
Clearly. Line of scrimmage. So the poll's stagnant.
Go switch it.
Okay, you got it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm 10 steps ahead of you.
Wow.
That's kind of aggressive.
And a first. Back judge. Now this is first. We're going to go crew of 8 back judges. So Daniel, you're right in your comfort zone, or crew of 7 traditional umpire. Where should the back judge be looking? All right. These are always fun. We have one time, I think Corey was there. We almost had windows broken in the meeting room on one of these.
Yep.
I don't think you were. I think it was opposite of you, or maybe it was. It's probably the umpire. He was aggressive.
Yeah, it probably just. Well, I'm just saying it might not have been because of the play. It might just been because he was presenting.
No, none of that.
Okay.
Back judge, crew of 8, traditional umpire, crew of 7. Oh, that's so cool. All right. How are we feeling about these results?
Go.
One more time. Crew of 7. I forgot how to run these polls. Crew of 7, umpire in the backfield. Where should the back judge be looking, right? So I know we're saying umpire in the backfield. We're not asking where the umpire should be looking. Where should the back judge be looking? Crew of 7 with the U in the backfield. And then we can discuss if that would impact the other positions too, which I'm really honestly not sure about that. So what we'll do first. Let's see if I can find that.
Hold on. Did we even ask what umpire should be looking?
No.
So you don't care about the umpires, is what you're saying?
It's not that I don't care about them.
Oh, okay.
I've always cared about the umpires.
You almost didn't participate on Hug Your Umpire Day when we had that.
That's true. I didn't want to hug them for no other reason than they're just kind of disgusting. Most of them. Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm seriously just kidding. They're all good guys. Every umpire I've ever worked with has been excellent. So I'm not sure what you're trying to say about that.
Okay. All right.
What?
No, we just
All right. Are we good?
Yep.
And we will. Let's talk umpire. Maybe we chat pull it up. So let me put this up, and then you're going to tell me, hopefully, if I get this up, where we were. Okay. So where did we start with the deep wing?
Yes.
All right. So what did we have?
What are we looking for? The vast majority. I don't know how to use words like Corey with plurality and plurality.
You had 80%. That's something. You had 80% on one of them.
And they were looking at 5, weren't they?
Yes, that's what the deep wings were.
Okay, and then we went line of scrimmage. Where'd the line of scrimmage looking?
A line of scrimmage was split between 4 and 5, a dead split.
A dead split. Okay. So I'll go
35% and 35%.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we had
Okay.
some people at 6 and 7, which is interesting. We can just scratch 7. If anybody
Yeah.
answered number 7, I apologize, but let's not look there.
And I think we appreciate the heads up. Now, look, if 7, who is the quarterback carrying out a fake, if he gets blasted, yes, it is the line of scrimmage official's responsibility, but you're not intently focused on that.
No. Soft eyes on him.
Soft eyes. Okay, what about and I know the back judges it's like we got all these different mechanics, but let's talk. What were the results first?
Crew of 8 or 7 with no umpire. We had the back judge at number 2.
2, right in here. Okay, and then crew of 7 with the umpire offensive backfield. Was it the same? I feel like
we kept it at number 2, yes.
Okay.
But it was a little less of the people
little
said
less.
that.
And then where was the second opinion?
Number 4 in both of them.
Okay, interesting. Okay. And then so umpires, chat poll if you can. Where would
Since we don't care about the umpires, let's just throw them in.
We feel like they're smarter. They're more
we care.
Exactly, but
do umpires, I feel like any umpire watching this would say 4, but maybe I'm wrong, I guess.
So now you're going to poison the voting pool.
I did, but chat poll it. Is any umpire saying anything other than 4?
What about the umpire in the backfield? They're not going to say 4.
No, but that's not the point of the play.
Oh, okay.
I didn't ask for. I don't care where I do care where the center judge is looking, but not really for this exercise. I think the center judge on this play is looking at 7. No, I'm just kidding. Our umpires are looking at 4, aren't they?
Yes. Okay. So far, the 3 umpires that answered.
See, we have.
Mr. Lee Dodd is in the house. Okay.
Oh, all right.
I haven't seen Lee on here in a while.
Maybe he's been lingering.
Yeah, Lee is quiet.
Oh, I tell you what.
Met Lee Dodd in New Orleans at the New Orleans camp last summer.
We've known Lee since spring of 2020. I always remember Lee on the calls. Okay, good. Okay, what do you guys think of this? Are we okay? Look, so it's interesting because 5 was the wingback that started on the left side of the formation. Corey, it's interesting that our deep wings are there, and then some of our line of scrimmage. Now, some of our line of scrimmage are at this 4. So that's also interesting. The ball carrier is 6. So we have no line of scrimmage guys admitting that they'd be watching the ball, Tuta.
I know.
That's interesting.
Well, it was a few, but
That's true.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not trying to make fun. I always poke fun at our line of scrimmage guys for watching the ball, but you do have the spot. Hopefully we can get you on blocks here, especially backside.
Backside, yes.
Is there do you have an issue between 4 and 5 on the line of scrimmage?
I do.
Clear that one. Go ahead, then.
I would prefer them not to look at 4 just because it seems like it will be harder to have a sense of where the runner is and what's going on with the runner if they're looking at number 4 because the angle is so different. Seems like the natural angle, while having a general idea of what a runner is, would be to clear number 5 first before moving downfield towards number 4. Now, if the back breaks through that hole and gets kind of on that same line with number 4, I would have no problem with the line of scrimmage official working number 4.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough transition.
Yes.
The way you're talking about it. So, Corey, I feel like it's kind of interesting. You think in number 5 for the deep wing. I don't know, whatever. What do you think?
I that's not where I would be looking. I would be looking at number 4 for a couple of reasons. Number 1, number 4 is our widest player at the snap, so he is our initial key. I mean, it's a tackle, and it's not common. I mean, but it does happen from time to time. In fact, I worked a couple teams last week where I think I had that type of play 2 or 3 times. So not only that from an initial key standpoint, but when he fires out to the middle to the second level, we have to assume that no one's going to switch there that quickly to see all of that action. We may be the only ones that sees that. So if he comes in and he goes low from the side, he clips, I haven't seen clipping in years, but anything. I mean, he goes and drags the guy down. I would want to stay with him and know that my line of scrimmage official would pick up the number 5.
Number 5.
Or even the referee seeing 5, maybe with that guy coming across the grain like that. But I definitely won't be switching to 5 that quickly. If even if number
really
4
good.
wasn't my initial key, maybe you recognize the play site as a way, and you kind of can get there to help with the second level blocks. I mean, that's assuming that there's no other key out there involved. But I would go to number 4.
Okay, good. I really like where we're going there. Daniel, what are your thoughts on the back judge?
Well, starting with the crew of 8 or the crew of 7 with the umpire on the defensive side of the ball, I think that this is one of those plays where if we remember from the snapshot at the snap, our initial key is the number 3 receiver over here on the bottom of the formation. But one of those situations where we have a lot of space to kind of figure out what's going to happen here before our initial key is threatened for foul. And so remember, our initial key was number 2. And so, we can sneak a peek wherever we want to help inform us where to look next. For me, oftentimes, depending on what the trips look like, it's the number 2 receiver also, or maybe the tackle, just depending on how the game's been going and how the splits are. But in this case, either way, wherever we end up looking at the beginning of the play at the snap, what we want to make sure that we do, because we talk about this a lot, what we need to make sure that we do is never leave our responsibility for our initial key, right? Because if our initial key ends up becoming a factor in the way that the play develops, it's always going to be on us to officiate whatever action happens around him, whether it's him fouling or someone fouling to him. So when we have those conversations, I think it's a good time for us to kind of just revisit this idea that what we're trying to do is help our eyes get where they're supposed to be more efficiently. And a lot of times that may be right back at our initial key. And that's what happens here, where the play's coming around to the left side, if I remember correctly, just right behind the tackle. I don't know. I can't remember if the back goes inside the tackle or outside the tackle. But this block by our initial key, number 2, is going to be really relevant to this run. So whatever we're using to help get our eyes where they need to be quicker. For me, it probably on this play would have been the tackle. He's going to post step, almost communicate a pass play, but I'm probably going to feel the back coming out behind him in that handoff. And so I'm going to want to swing right back to the number 3 receiver, who's number 2 in our kind of diagram here. So a lot of words, but the best answer for us, I think, is number 2.
Okay. What about any advice on if we don't have an umpire in the middle? Is there any difference?
Well, there is, because when there's no umpire, and this is just based on my extremely extensive training over the spring and summer of 2021, is that what we're really going to have to do, and if you can go back to the end zone view, that'd be helpful, is we're going to start inside pre-snap when we don't have an umpire on the defensive side of the ball, and then we're going to kick out. And where we kick out is, dependent upon the formation. In this case, it would be to the number 2 receiver. But if we read run, so the ball snapped. So if we read run, we really want to stay inside, because the first thing we're going to officiate is defensive holding on that nose tackle that was right over the center. Once we read run and that kind of threat clears, the next thing we're officiating is blocks on the second level. So I think probably the best place for the back judge to be, and again, this is based off a bunch of extensive training, is probably number 4, right here in the middle at the second level. Potentially number 3 could grab our attention, but at the time we have the video pause, he's not doing anything. So I think probably crew of 7, umpire in the backfield, back judge would be on number 4.
And then who would be on number 2? Is this where we expect this deep wing official over here to be coming in, or maybe even from the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I think either one of those guys. And look, if 7 pops out right here to the left, we may need to make a really quick transition as a back judge and with a crew of 7 over here to number 2. But I think, I can't remember if there was a block fitting up here wider, because even with a crew of 8, I may be wrong because I don't remember exactly, but I was thinking that the deep wing may be on number 2 over here anyway.
Here's where we have it.
Yeah.
Again, this was overload side. This is
Right.
overload, so difficult. But we don't even have a number on this guy. I feel like Corey would be looking through into here, wouldn't you?
Sorry, I was on mute. I think I kind of had that sub vision. Yeah, I'd be looking through to 100%.
Yeah. Working both potential, whatever's going to happen between both of these matchups.
Correct.
4 players.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
But you bring up a good question. I don't know that the short wing over here to the play side is going to be on number 2 either. That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, let's just let it roll, and it's just an interesting play, And these are available. The pause is available in the downloads in the portal or whatever we call it, and then the whole play is available as well. So this one I don't think this one has any numbers in it. It just goes, and you have a really interesting block that shapes up right where, we had a lot of focus, right? So we had our umpires, hopefully were there. Daniel, you talked about crew of 7 umpire in the backfield. So you would have been there at what this shapes up to be at the second level. And this is really a alert for a chop block, isn't it? And, I want to discuss real quick the concept of what the rule says with or without a delay, and then this block through that lens. This is really, I think, challenging to me. So we have this player, and let's just forget about the argument that maybe he initiated at the waist, whatever. Let's just say that 74 is low, and then I think that 61 just had this team, so I should know. 51 is high. Is that a combo low high block, or are those 2 separate blocks? What do you guys think?
Hey man, why do we waste 30 minutes talking about who's going to see what if we just going to talk about the foul? Let's just get to the foul.
Yeah, right. Well, because we just proved, right? We just proved why. Actually, it was really good discussion. We had a bunch of potentials. Corey laid out a great argument on where he's helping us out, because if we don't look, if this is a foul and we miss it, I mean, Corey's really saying he's preparing himself. And I don't know if he watched the play today or not, whatever, but he's preparing himself to pick this up, at least evaluate this action. And that's what this is all about, Mr. Condescending.
Right. Well, I was being facetious. If you want to look up facetious in the dictionary, you may.
But what do you? I'm really kind of interested. So we figured out the mechanics. We love the deep wing at the top, coming down to this, letting the line judge at the top, or headline, whatever half this is, the line of scrimmage at the top, kind of clear that wing back wham action. Yeah. All right. So line of scrimmage on that. Deep wing, come all the way into the second level. Umpires there. Crew of 8, crew of 7, traditional. Crew of 7, umpire in the backfield. Back judges there, probably with the deep wing as well. Okay, now let's make the call.
So we've talked before, Brandon, about a low block extinguished and then a high block coming afterwards. To be perfectly honest, when I first looked at that, I said, that's what this is. There was a low block and then a high block. No big deal. But when you really look at it, at the moment of the high block, the block key is in a very vulnerable position because of the low block.
I know.
He had not recovered his ability to fully defend himself. And he's not totally on the ground. Had the low block taken him totally to the ground, and then the high block dude just came and cleaned it up, so what? Because there's no danger there. But here in this case, he wasn't taken all the way to the ground. His leg is kind of stretched out to the side, and then he got blocked high. I think if we really evaluate it from that standpoint, I do see 2 separate blocks. However, the high block is still, the blockee is still in a dangerous position from the low block, so that I think in this case, this is a foul for chop block.
I totally agree. And, and
I agree too.
Corey, you talked about visually being there. Can you see that detail from where you're at? Literally half the field away at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the vision we have on a lot of plays.
Yes.
As any deep official. I mean, that's what we're used to. So, I mean, I know when I saw this type of formation last weekend, these are the thoughts that go in my head. It's like, okay, I have a tackle. I'm looking at a completely different set of possibilities than what my normal key would be, you know. And part of that is, you know, chop block, low blocks, holding. I mean, I know anybody that's ever worked one of the military academies, you know, you change your mindset going into a game like that because you know that those are the types of decisions that you may be forced to make. And when I see that type of formation, that is immediately the mindset that I try to get into versus, you know, receiver defensive backing entanglements or engagements. It's just it's completely different. So now would I have the wherewithal to fire on this? I'd like to say, you know, I've never thrown a chop block. I'd like to get one in there at some point in my career, so why not now?
I've had one, Corey, as a side
Yeah.
judge. I had one, yes, but it was easier. It was way easier than that. It was on the outside. It was actually the quarterback, believe it or not, participated with a wide receiver. But the one point I want to make on this play, Corey, if you're running backwards, there's no way you're gonna be able to understand the detail of this play. So as a deep wing, especially on a formation like this, if you move one muscle, I would really want to cut your leg off and just let you, you know, because there's no reason to move. There's literally no reason to move on this play.
Cut both legs off.
And if you start moving, then you can't work that block. There's no way you can work that block.
You know, that's why, you know, during the camps and, you know, even folks that reach out to me, I'm always encouraging them to start at 25 yards as a deep wing because people like to use a term called the read step, which, you know, sometimes maybe that's necessary if you have a truly pressed receiver. Right. But if you're at 25 yards, you have all the time in the world, you know, relatively speaking, to evaluate what type of play is coming at you and be able to stay still.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make a point here. Because we've got some good comments in the chat. Oh, wait, wrong video. Hang on. Tuta. It's really not about the initial contact in terms of the low block. All right. It's really not about, look at the vulnerable. You mentioned it. He practically pins the guy's lower leg to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
With this block.
Yeah.
This is a low block. All right.
Yeah.
And I can buy the fact that, you know, we talk about initial contact is maybe, you know, not below at the thigh or below or whatever the standard is for chop block, but there is force low. There is force low. So in terms of like our training and our standards, you know, if this guy kind of slides down, but don't mistake this for a block that starts high and then you slide down low and there's no low block component. This is all one continuous motion, even if there is some minuscule contact, you know, at the waist or at above the thigh, whatever. Look at all the force that is delivered to the lower leg. All right. So we do feel like this is a block from the front. So, you know, we're okay there within 5 yards, block from the front within 5. But if it is, you know, half of the combo component of a high-low block, then I do think we have a chop block here.
Yep.
Any pushback to that?
Nope. Love it.
Nope.
Okay.
Love it.
And we, you know, and look, this is where, you know, watching video, we're always going to advocate, obviously, watching video. That's what we've done all of this off of, 63 sessions strong, plus the spring of 2020, whatever. But we don't want to become so like, well, you know, if I can pause the video and show that his shoulder pad is hitting the waist, now it's not a low block. You know, we want to be careful of that. And I don't think anybody's doing that on here. I just want to, you know, I've heard that before, and we don't want to do that. You know, force low. Look at how it almost pins his lower leg to the ground as he gets blocked high. And it may be a little bit of separation. He limps off the field. And I'm not saying anything about injuries playing a role into calling fouls, but that's the whole purpose of this rule, right?
Right.
Good. Okay. We always go late, don't we?
Good
job on the mechanics. The mechanics were amazing.
I know. I love how we actually engaged the umpires, Brandon. That was really cool how we did that, right?
I feel like that's a shot at me.
That may have been a shot.
Yes.
Okay. It was definitely a shot at you.
The umpires should obviously be on that block.
Okay.
Put it in the chat. Where else would you be? I mean,
they may go to the locker room if you don't keep involving them. They'll just leave.
I'm involving them because I already know they're on that block. They're on the block, man. You got to be on the block. I don't know where else you'd be looking, right? You know what? Stop the video because I'm going to do something here from the end zone view. That's very important because of you.
Oh my God.
This is what we really want to see at this point.
I thought we were on play 5, man.
No, we're not on play 5. All right.
We're already
All
over
right.
time.
Have we ever talked about creating a triangle at the point of attack? This is exactly what we want, Utah. All right. So look,
Okay.
and I know it gets distorted, but you can always very often in Crew of 8 create a triangle at the point of attack. And this triangle looks a little bit weird. It would look better on the sideline view, but this is better. What is the triangle? It means we're working all three sides of the point of attack. Look at where the center judge should be out here. Referee, this is setting up as the back side. And Corey's mentioned the referee could be on 5. We're not going to be on 5 here at this point when we read run. We're not going to be on 5.
Run to the left.
Run to the left. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it was a run to the right, we would be. Yes. Yeah. But we're more going to be protecting that edge of the point of attack. Umpire, second level, Crew of 8, talking Crew of 8. Center judge out to the left. Honestly, the center judge at this point may still kind of be in on where the referee is, but certainly transitioning out to where I have the arrow now, right? And that's how we always want to work this. So umpires have to trust the other two officials in the backfield that they're going to work in on this point of attack. Does that make sense? On these two sides of the point of attack. So umpires help because there's really no one else to work number 4 in this case.
Right.
Because especially like the way Daniel pointed out, and is so glad that he did, he's probably going to stay on number 2 when he knows he's got an umpire inside.
Not only is there nowhere for no one else to work number 4, there's nowhere more relevant, practical for the umpire to work. Like where else would he? He certainly ain't looking at 5. He can't be looking through 4 into the block at number 6. He's not going to look at 2. So really,
Yeah. But and I think we do have a tendency, all of us, and I don't want to. Now I am probably going to offend the umpires.
Watch the ball. I know where you're going.
No, well, and I don't know if it's watch the ball, but I do think we have a tendency to let this player get our attention, and then we really just kind of stay here from the umpire position when we have to do a better job. And this is on us as referees communicating. No, man, hey, I'm telling you, man, I am going to be all over that block as soon as I read run to this side of the field. Right?
Yep.
This is it's the only block that I'm going to be working.
That's
the
correct.
only block. I'm not going to watch the tackle go out and attack this guy at the second level. No way. I'm going to be right here because I'm sensing that either one of two things are going to happen, right, Utah? This guy is either going to, in terms of the runner, and I'm not watching the runner, but I'm sensing he's either going to go this way and maybe he'll either cut up here or cut out here, or he's going to cut back this way. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. If he cuts back to his right, I've still got this block right here.
Yep.
Because I've read the play that way. And so when you work this play, that's what you want. Umpire. So, and I know it's hard and it's so easy to just pause this video and then go a couple frames forward. But if you can please work this action here, that's just really going to set us up for a much better success over the course of a lot of plays. All right. You made me do it. You made me do it. But I love talking about that. Do you think the umpires are on the same page? I think they are.
They are, but they would love to have some attention. I know that.
I respect them so much I didn't even think it was necessary. It's the end of the half, and it's the end of the session. There's 10 seconds to go, and the offense has one timeout. Oh, no. There's a fumble. Okay, it's not fourth down, but it is a fumble. Watch all the signals by the referee. I think this was really well handled. Watch this. But now look, we've got 100 million players on the field at the top of the screen because the clock is at 0.
Yeah.
Here's my question to everybody. Great call, by the way. Great judgment on the fumble. Looks easy on video. Not that easy on the field.
Poor judgment on the uniforms by Oregon. I have no idea what that was.
Yeah, I thought that was like grass stains, but those were actually designed.
Yeah, that's
all right. All right. Look, we put 2 seconds on the clock. The offense had a timeout, so we charged them the timeout. They recovered the ball, and we reset the clock to 2 seconds. And when it goes to the sideline wide angle, you'll be able to see the referee do all of this. Look at all these signals the referee's making. Timeout. He's killing the clock. He sees the offense recover. He's winding the clock. He sees the offense call timeout. He's killing the clock. Now he looks at the clock. All right. He's getting a ton of help from the rest of the crew, which is great. Now, look, make an announcement. We're going to charge the offensive timeout. We're going to signal that, and we're going to put 2 seconds back on the clock. Okay. I love the way this was handled. My question is, are we all going to do this exactly this way? How do you decide when to stop the clock when we've got a fumble and there's a pile up and we know that time is tight? Because some people would say, just let the clock run out. It's easy.
Right.
I mean, how do you decide how to manage this? And I'm serious. It's a serious question.
Well, first, got to have awareness of what the clock status is. And I know that sounds like a very simplistic and basic statement to make. But as a person who totally lost track of what the game clock was in a time critical situation one time this year, have the awareness, first of all, as a referee, what is the game clock? So it starts there, Brandon, you know, and then when the play is over, man, I don't know if I would have that awareness to kill the clock that quickly. Hopefully I would. Hopefully the coach will come screaming onto the field, calling timeout while the ball is still on the ground, while the pileup is there. Then we could even see that, okay, there's some time still on this clock when he's coming out, calling timeout, if we don't have the wherewithal to kill it as the field crew while the ball is in the pile. God, you know, I don't know. I did that.
Yeah, that's a really great answer on the fence. So coach comes screaming out, signaling timeout. We never killed it. Clock's at 0, but the offense recovered. What? Now what?
Well, hopefully somebody who was not near the pile, that's Mr. Corey Luxner, who, as we've both worked with Corey, know how well Corey like saves the crew from some serious crap.
Fanatic.
He would have an idea that there's time still on the clock while this coach was calling timeout. The other thing is we have to, and it looks like Corey, look at Corey coming in from the top.
Right.
The deep wing from the top did notice that.
He was all over it.
He was all over it. And that's what being a deep wing is about.
Yes.
And I'll get on the soapbox, or really let Corey get on it. Everybody always wants to talk about the deep wing. Oh, I have my one guy. That is not what we do as deep wing officials. And yes, I'm still making myself a deep wing official. We manage the game, 100% manage the game. And this is a situation where we could have easily gone into the locker room and UCLA did not get another opportunity to run another play, which would be categorically wrong. So I'll stop there.
That's good, Tuta. I mean, I can't say it much better. So, you know, your probationary status is, your card is set to expire here in a couple minutes, but you're using it well.
So,
no, I mean, you say it correctly. Like, these are the types of things why we have the position on the field that we do, because we have that wide vision. We take all these other things into consideration. You know, management of the clock, management of the game. You know, what are we seeing from our wide vision that those that are focused in on this pile are not going to see? And that can be a guy getting picked off a pile. It can be clock. It can be a timeout from the bench that we have to see. And that's, you know, if you're a deep official and you think that on a play like this, you can just kind of, you know, get lackadaisical and look off into the crowd, well, you're not doing your job.
Right. Look at the back judge coming in to break up 50 and somebody else. Yeah, and the deep wing wasn't even on UCLA's sideline when he recognized the timeout. So that's how good that's really just great awareness of the situation.
To use somebody else's word, this is model work. Okay, so you guys are saying that I feel like the referee had great situational awareness.
He did.
Stopping the clock. Okay. You guys are saying that even if, like, because I don't really ever stop the clock like this. So if I was the referee and I did not stop the clock.
I probably wouldn't. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't.
I know. You're saying you are going to put time back on. Let me ask you this. Couldn't you have an argument? I'm playing devil's advocate. Couldn't you have an argument from the other side that says, wait a second, how does any one of you guys in these crazy striped shirts, how do you know that they had the ball, that they recovered the ball with time remaining? How do you know that?
I'm going to trust that the deep wing who's coming in telling me that there were 2 seconds on the clock when UCLA
You can't say
came
that,
in.
though. We shouldn't have any idea who has the ball at that point.
You wouldn't, but you would know the play is dead.
I would know the play is dead. But
But
I don't know. Well, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe that ball's still squirting around.
Wait a second. Tuta. Here's the thing. If the offense recovers, the clock should have never stopped.
Correct.
When did they recover it?
I don't know, but there's a.
I don't either.
For me, if there's a pile up right there, the play is dead. Now we just have to figure out who has the ball.
The play is dead.
The play is over.
Is the clock dead?
The clock is not dead, technically.
Right.
But the play is dead.
Okay. So what you're saying is when I'm learning when we get in these situations on a fumble, pile up, we should be kind of like more trigger happy with stopping the clock to sort out who has the ball.
If the clock is in a critical situation, I would say yes.
Okay.
Because by rule, the play is dead.
The play is dead. And
somebody is on the ground with possession of the ball, by rule, the play is dead. It's over.
Gotcha. And if the offense is that one on the ground, then they should have the right to use their final timeout.
That's correct. Now, if we umpire and then defense has the ball, then I don't even want the side judge to come and tell me anything.
No, let the clock expire. Yeah. I think in that case, you would just leave the clock at zeros.
Yes.
Because the offense would never want to call a timeout with the defense having the football.
Exactly. But if the offense is calling timeout, I want to give them the opportunity to run another play if they have the ball. If they don't have the ball, and here's situational awareness again. Side judge, you're standing back there. You see the pile up. You see the coach running onto the field with a timeout. You look at the clock. You see 2 seconds. Now just hold it. Hold that information. And then we unpile. And then we notice that the offense does have the ball. Hey, Brandon. When we killed the clock, when the play was over. When the play was over, not kill the clock. When the play was over, UCLA took a timeout. There were 2 seconds on the clock.
So side judge comes in. Hey, Mr. Referee, did the offense recover? Yes. Okay. I have them calling timeout with 2 seconds left on the clock.
That's correct.
Okay. This is, how simple
this is? That's the way I would like to have. That's
how simple this is, and how I feel like this is just advanced level work. This crew nailed this.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they did. They made it look easy too.
They made it look easy. That's the point. That's why easy at all. I'm watching this and I'm like, this crew made this look easy. That's a really good way to say it. I'm stealing your words. And then, they do end up getting a field goal. But I feel like the game wants it to be handled this way. Absolutely. I don't know how much of a gripe the defense really has here. I don't really care because I think that they handled it absolutely fine. I guess the only, obviously if the ball is still bouncing around and the clock's at 0, we can't just arbitrarily kind of put time back on. That's what we got to be careful,
correct,
right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm not saying
that's the difference. No, I know. Yeah, I just want to make sure, it's not like the offense has to recover the ball. It has to get into a pile with time left on the clock, and then yes, we'll let them use their timeout so long as they were the ones that recovered.
That's right. Now let's not go all far either in this direction, Brandon.
Okay.
Let's say we come out of the pile and we're about to wind the clock and we notice the field goal team running on. That's not an opportunity where we're going to let the field goal team get in position and then wind the clock either. We're going to immediately wind that clock back up, and I'm sorry, y'all just not going to get another play if they don't have a timeout remaining.
Right. That was like last week's play. The difference was the result of the previous play was a first down.
That's correct.
Clock stopped by rule. This one, the clock perhaps only stopped by rule to sort out who had possession.
Well, the clock actually didn't stop by rule.
That's my point.
There's no reason to stop the clock.
Right. So that's why when I saw him, I'm like, wait a second, he's killing the clock. But I understand why he's doing it because of kind of what we're saying. But then we rewind the clock, but then we reset the clock, So I'm like, wow, there's a ton of signals going on here, but handled perfectly.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, you want to throw a replay twist in there?
Uh-oh. Of course you would do this. What you got?
Nobody recognizes the coach calling timeout. The replay official has indisputable visual evidence that when the play was dead, the UCLA coach is running onto the field with 3 seconds left calling timeout.
I need help. I don't think so.
I don't either, but I don't have a strong argument against putting time back on the clock.
What about administratively collaborative situations? In other words, you can't handle that through a formal replay stoppage, but some administrative aspects of the football game are handled through collaborative.
Yeah. I'm about to go into the case book because
That's not a reviewable situation. The only reviewable situation when granting a timeout is if, in fact, there was time left on the clock when the timeout was granted by the officials, I believe.
Yeah, you're correct. That's the only aspect of timeouts that are reviewable by the letter of the law.
the replay official's video evidence includes the timeout signal by an official.
By an
In the
official.
case where the game clock should have stopped for a requested team timeout. Okay, good. All right. So
yeah,
that's not even a
the scenario you're talking about is as if the replay official is the one calling timeout because they see the coach calling it, and we don't have that authority.
We
That's
do not.
not-
Correct.
that's not
Correct.
a-
Correct. Good.
We
Good.
don't have. We don't. We're not doing that.
Okay.
But all officials on the field need to be heads up to the potential, don't they? It's
Yes.
like it's not just the line judge on that side of the field. Like you said, this is the deep wing from the other zip code coming
Right.
in and saying, "Hey, I got that coach calling timeout with 2 seconds on the clock."
That's right.
Boom. That's the official you want to work with. That's the official you want to be, right? We need 8 of those people on the field working the game with that level of input. 8 Corey Luxners, 8 Tuta. I don't know if we need 8 Tuta Salams, but we.
No one would ever get to talk if there were 8 2 Tuscalans. They'd all argue with one another.
Great work by the crew. Daniel, what'd you think? Great work?
That was awesome. That was a really cool play.
Yeah, man.
You know, I got to say, I mean, there's a lot of influence there from pure officiating. That was a umpire contributor of pure officiating making his return to the field after an injury. So
yeah, we were very happy to see him back on the field.
Yep.
Mr. Mark Warner. Speaking of umpires, Tuta, I love the umpires. What do you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Your actions speak louder than your words. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I love the way that crew handled the play. And I think that, welcome to November. And let's all be game managers like that. Don't you guys think?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Amen. God willing, yes.
Yep. All right. Well, keep that frame of mind. Have a great week. Safe travels, safe health. Thanks to all. This was a fun session.
Amen. It was.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Adios.
Good night. See you next week.